Ladies and gentlemen, the Champions League knockout round is back. We have the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League matches. Four very good matches to look forward to, right? First of all, Arsenal, my beloved Arsenal lost to Southampton in the FA Cup. It's not the end of the world. Would I have liked to have won, to play the semi-finals of the FA Cup at Wembley? Of course I would. But we still have two trophies, the two biggest trophies available to us to win. We still have the Premier League and the Champions League. And now, we now have to take on Sporting. We have to redeem ourselves in this Champions League quarterfinals against Sporting. Apart from Arsenal versus Sporting, we have Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid, which feels like the tie of these quarterfinals. We have PSG taking on Liverpool, which is a repeat of last season's, I think, round of 16 tie. And then the last but not the least, we have Barcelona taking on Atletico Madrid. Let's break them down one after the other. Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich. Now, Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich feels like a tie worthy of a semi-final or a final of the Champions League, right? They have played each other, and the last two ties that they have played each other, Real Madrid have won by the exact same scoreline of 4-3 on aggregates. The first leg of those ties, they either play 2-2, or by Real Madrid wins 2-1, and then the reverse fixture, you see that same 2-2, or Madrid wins 2-1. So the last two ties, Real Madrid have won. However, this is a different Bayern Munich to the Bayern Munich side that Real Madrid have been winning the last two ties. This Bayern Munich side feels like the best team in Europe at the present. They have a collective offensive talent in Michael Olise, Luis Diaz, and Harry Kane. I think they are close to breaking the record for the highest goal scored in the Bundesliga season. And right now, Real Madrid doesn't feel like the Real Madrid of yesteryears, right? This present Real Madrid squad, though they are strong, I'm not saying they are not strong. This is a very, very good Madrid squad. But I feel like this Real Madrid squad will find it difficult to beat Bayern. I don't know what you people think. Please let me know what you think below. I think this Real Madrid squad will find it very difficult to beat Bayern, and I think this is the first time in a while that Real Madrid will go into a tie against Bayern Munich as the underdogs. I expect it to be I feel like this first leg might end up being a draw, because I think this first leg is going to be played in the Santiago Bernabeu. I think this first leg is going to be a draw. Then, when Real Madrid now travels to Allianz Arena, it's going to be a different story. Yes, Madrid faithfuls will kill me, but I have to be very honest. This is my objective analysis in that match. First of all, Real Madrid's defense is not up to the standard of a team that is capable of holding Bayern Munich down. That is a very, very, very first important thing. Bayern Munich can outscore Real Madrid this season. Now, what Bayern Munich have that Real Madrid doesn't necessarily have is defense. Bayern Munich's defense is, I won't necessarily say significantly better, but Bayern Munich's defense is better than Real Madrid. Let us be very honest. And because their defense is better than Real Madrid, they say attack wins games, defense wins championships. So basically what it means is, it's possible for Real Madrid to win this first leg. It's a very big possibility. However, if they want to qualify for the next round, for the semi-final, and possibly win the Champions League, their defense has to do better. This period, at this particular juncture in football, your defense has to be good enough. You cannot come out and play all-out attack and expect to win. That is why back in the past few years, I've had difficulties in the Champions League. Yes, they have been getting to the latter stages of the semi-finals and the quarterfinals, but they end up, stumbling down the way, probably via trying to outscore the opponents, and if the opponents have a good defense, they will now falter. Which brings me to my next tie, Barcelona versus Atletico Madrid. See, this is a classic Champions League tie. Atletico Madrid have a history of, doing well in the Champions League, but whenever they meet their fellow La Liga teams, I don't know what is wrong. If it is a mental issue, or if they are just not good enough, or because those teams are better than them, they always falter to La Liga teams. Almost always falter to La Liga teams. So this is what I think is going to happen in that time. I think Atletico is going to try to outscore Barcelona. I think Diego Simeone has basically deviated from the defensive haram football that he has been known for these past few years. I think what will happen is They are going to come out in the first leg. They are going to play a little bit cagey. You get? I think they're not. I think they will not want to concede early in the first leg, which is very vital because if they allow themselves to concede early, it's game over. Keep in mind that they played each other this past weekend in the La Liga, and Barcelona came out 2-1 victors in that time. So they are going to use that tie as a reference point into the way Barca is going to play them. Listen, Barcelona is one team I give them credit for sticking to their principles. Barcelona will always try to outscore you. That is one thing you can give them credit for. They are coming here, they are not going to come and try to, stop you from playing your game or adapt to the way you play. Barcelona don't really care about how you play. Barcelona will come out and attack you and hope to score you as many goals as. See, if you allow Barcelona will load you. The two teams in European football now, that if you allow them, bro, they go load you. It's Barcelona and Bayern Munich. PSG, maybe you could say PSG of last season. This PSG of this season is not really that same PSG. Maybe I might be wrong. In fact, I think I might be wrong. But it is this Liverpool tie that will really, really open my eyes and into the possibility of what PSG can do. Which brings me to my next tie of PSG versus Liverpool. I'm seeing a lot of pundits and analysis everywhere, making it sound like PSG or Liverpool's tie is going to be basically like a walkover for Liverpool, for PSG rather, which is far from it, honestly. That tie is going to be very, very tricky tie for PSG. If PSG does not come out with proper respect for Liverpool and proper attention to detail with minimal mistakes, they are going to suffer in that tie. Liverpool is not a team to be joked with. Yes, over the weekend, they lost to Man City in the FA Cup. Fine. That one is Man City. Liverpool in the Champions League is a different animal. I'm sure everybody will agree with that. Liverpool in the Champions League will give anybody a run for their money. See, I would rather play PSG than play Liverpool in the Champions League as an Arsenal fan. Let me be very, very frank with you. Liverpool will make life a living hell for PSG if they do not give their best. They played each other last season and both legs was 1-1. The away team won both legs 1-0. The aggregate score was 1-1 and PSG went and won the penalty shootout. So it's not like this is the PSG last season that we consider the best team in Europe, but yet they still struggled against Liverpool. I think there was a quote from Luis Enrique that PSG's match was their hardest fixture. You get? So it is not going to be a walkover for PSG. Yes, PSG are rightful favorites. I expect them to, not necessarily expect them to go through, but I expect them to do very well. In fact, I had a conversation with one of my friends and I told him that I think Liverpool is going to upset PSG. So I'm going to stick with that analysis. I think Liverpool is going to upset PSG. I'm not entirely sure how the first leg will go because it feels like a match where PSG will want to lead the same way they do with Chelsea. They want to create a very large advantage in the first leg. But I think all in all, Liverpool is going to go through in this time. And then the last but not the least is my beloved Arsenal. Arsenal. You see what rival fans have done, Abi? You guys have seen what rival fans have done. I think this talk of the quadruple started in January by the media. I do not believe I saw any posts anywhere, be it on X, on YouTube, on Instagram, where an Arsenal fan categorically said we are going for the treble. My mantra has always been, we'll take it one game at a time. Now, in our last two matches, we have lost the Carabao Cup final and we have been dumped out of the FA Cup Quarter Finals by Southampton. Yes, injuries have played a part, but it's not an excuse. We have not been good enough. Now, I have a hot take in these our last two matches, that if Eberechi Eze was available in those two matches, Arsenal would not have lost those two matches. Listen, he was getting into form. He was very vital in our Champions League match against Liverpool. So we all saw it. We all saw the goal he scored. So I think his big game factor was missing. And we need him against Sporting. That style of football, I don't want to sound like I'm beating on an old drum of always criticizing Odegaard. Because I'm known to be an Odegaard hater, according to what my friend Baba said. But I'm not an Odegaard hater. I'm just a critic. Because I have so much standard. I've kept him in a not necessarily a pedestal, but I believe he has the capability of doing so much more, but he's not doing that. But not to digress, I think we need Eze. Now, Bukayo Saka and Julian Timber is out of this tie, which is a blow, but it's not the end of the world. I expect Madueke to be fit. I expect Ben White to start. Why not, instead of Ateta to start Ben White, why not he start Mosquera in that right back? He has played the right back multiple times for Arsenal. I think he can do the job. Play Mosquera in that right back role and start Madueke and Alex. Max Dallman can always come in the second half if you're having difficulties creating chances. And then please do not start. I'm begging you, Mikel Arteta, please do not start Havertz. Let him rest. Havertz is not good enough. Let me be very honest with you people. Kai Havertz is not good enough to be starting for Arsenal in 2026. We need Victor Gyökeres is going to be very vital if Arsenal is going to win the Premier League and possibly the Champions League this season. We need Victor Gyökeres. So please stick with Victor Gyökeres up front. Please, I don't want to see Gabriel Jesus anywhere near that pitch. Let him just be like a fan, a supporter. Let him just sit down on the bench and be clapping for the rest of the players and saying, good job, guys, good job. If they need water, let him carry water and go and give them. No disrespect. We do not need Gabriel Jesus in that time. Martinelli and Trossard. Our left wing is becoming a problem. Not becoming, it is a problem. It has always been a problem. I do not even know who I want to start. Because there are certain times Trossard will start, I wish it was Martinelli. There are certain times Martinelli will start, I wish it was Trossard. I am hoping this tie will see the best of Arsenal to come. Yes, Sporting is going to miss their captain and their midfield anchor, which is, see, it's a very good thing for Arsenal as an Arsenal fan. But from a neutral perspective, you want the best players available to play the game. This is Champions League Quarter Finals. We want the best available. We want the best quality football. Do you understand? So with that being said, I think Arsenal, this first leg, I think Arsenal is not going to win. I think it's going to be a draw, the same way it went with Leverkusen. But I'm hoping for a better performance. I think it's going to be a first leg away draw. And then when Arsenal gets back to the Emirates, Arsenal will finish the job. So just to run down, I think PSG versus Liverpool. I think Liverpool is going to go through, but I think PSG might win this first leg. Tell me what you think. I think Real Madrid versus Bayern. I think Bayern Munich is going to go through. I don't want to say Bayern will win home and away, but I think Bayern Munich is going to beat Real Madrid in this quarterfinal time. And then Barcelona versus Atletico. I have Barcelona beating Atletico. Thank you. So guys, if this is your first time actually seeing my video or you've come across it before, please kindly like, subscribe and share. It massively helps me out. Let us build this football community together. Cheers.